Hello yet again, and welcome back to Beyond CAD. It's great to have you here, as always. And for those listening on the podcast, this is also available on YouTube. I got my studio set up just in time for the shutdown, which has been convenient for a lot of Zoom and Teams and Skype calls and all the video chats and all the conferencing and all the web coordination with the team, with clients. And so we got it all set up. So if you are on the podcast, make sure and check out our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search Civil FX, CIVIL FX, and you can watch it there. I'll try and do more of these video in the future now that I kind of have it set up. And for those of you that were wondering if I was going to come back and I was going to record a podcast episode, last time I was being a little coy because I started a new podcast. Please check it out. It's called We Make Civil Engineering Look Good. You can go to lookgoodpodcast.com to listen to that. And that's kind of like the better produced version of Beyond CAD. And that's like not just me. Like I actually have interviews with interesting people and we talk about interesting things. It's not just me sitting behind a mic. I have intro music and I have all sorts of things. It's just well produced, I think. I'm getting there. I'm working on the production of it. So anyways, check out Look Good Podcast, and I hope that you will join me, but I'm kind of resigned to the fact that many of you probably will not. I know that there are a lot of you that have enjoyed kind of the behind the scenes look at Civil FX through this podcast feed, Beyond CAD. And so I guess what I'm saying is I'm probably going to keep doing this. I'm probably going to keep creating these episodes and sending them over to you guys so that you can hear what's going on, not just with Civil FX, but also the development of Civil FX Vision, which I've been talking about for the last 6 months or so. And that's kind of what I want to make this podcast about. But I did want to get that out of the way that I'll still be doing these. I'm in a situation now where I have a studio. I can come and I can record it. And the shutdown's actually made it nicer because my wife's able to help with the kids. And before she's working, so a lot of times I had to watch the kids. So I think Beyond CAD will be kind of a behind the scenes look at what's going on. The other one, the Look Good podcast, the We Make Civil Engineering Look Good, that one will be the well produced one where I have guests and we talk about valuable things about public outreach and 3D visualization and design and aesthetics and all the things about making civil engineering projects good. So just want to clear that up. Stay subscribed to this podcast and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've been doing these really cool interactive tours. So we make these cool interactive projects. We've been using Unity, now we're using Unreal Engine. And so I just kind of walk through those projects and talk through how we built it, why we built it the way we did, what the project was about. I'll show real footage if the project's actually been built. So subscribe to YouTube and check those out, because if you like them, I will keep doing them. But if not, if you don't find them valuable, I probably won't be doing very many of them. So check those things out. So I want to give out an update on Civil FX Vision. I don't remember where I left off last, but we ended up hiring 3 developers to work full-time on Vision. They're not quite full-time because we're working on the simulator for active distracted driving. Go to sadvr.com to learn more about that. That was our mega grant from Epic's mega grant thing. So we are working on that. So it's not full-time Vision yet, but we are working on Vision around the clock. We've put in about 2,500 hours to date. We track that in our time tracking system. And we're ramping up to at least 500 hours a month now. By this summer, hopefully it will be closer to 1,000. And what that means is that I'm still hopeful that we can launch Vision by the end of the year. That's been the goal all along, is Vision 2020, and we're still on. We could make it there. I know that it might be 2021, but we're hopeful. Even if it's, I think we're going to call it a developers edition when we first launch. And what that means is it will be, there won't be the tiered system like we eventually want to have. We'll have different pricing options. There will just be one version. It will be valuable, and it will be to those who kind of early adopters who can see the value and use it and hopefully that will fund the continued development. So that's still our goal. December 2020, we have a roadmap to try and get there. Right now, we have a UI. We're able to run the project. You're able to place assets, move them around, save the project. We're able to import meshes like FBX, DXF. We're working on DWG. We're trying to work on texturing those meshes. That kind of works on some of those file imports. At launch, we're not going to have every single kind of file. We're not going to have the SketchUps files of the world and the random, non as common file formats. So, but we are making progress. What I'm doing is I'm working on harvesting assets. So I'm trying to get together a lot of assets to make this special. Like I want to make it like a civil visualization software that we've never seen. And one thing that means is having an asset library that's designed for civil engineers. No bookshelves. I've said this all along. No faucets and refrigerators. This is going to be construction cones and roads and trees and pipes and fences and billboards and lights and traffic signals and trains and things that civil engineers use in civil engineer projects. So it's going to be a really cool library once we get that going. So by next month, we'll have a really good, robust library. We'll have the main file importing done, the mesh importing, so you can import your custom files. And there are two kinds of that. There's like the, like let's say that you find a file or you're an artist and you can make it a really cool street light and you want to import that custom one in because you know that it's part of that project and it's already textured and everything. We want you to be able to do that. But also a lot of our users are going to, they're going to want to import stuff straight from CAD or from MicroStation that's not going to be textured. And so we want to have texturing abilities, UV abilities as much as possible for those users as well. So you will be able to import your custom meshes and you'll be able to place them, duplicate them. You'll be able to save your files. And then one thing that we're going to try and shoot for by launch in December or whenever it is, hopefully December, is smart traffic, because I think that's something that isn't out there right now. And we have the system, we built it in Unity, but we have to rebuild it specifically for vision. And so that's going to be something that you should expect, and hopefully will be a differentiator for civil projects, because that makes a difference. Free flowing traffic or keyframe animated traffic like you'll get in other visualization engines, it can do the job. But when you have real traffic, and go to our YouTube channel or our website or whatever, civilfx.com, to see the difference, it makes such a difference for civil projects, especially for project managers and those that know the difference in those kind of, the difference between smart traffic that's stopping and merging and doing all that stuff and free flowing traffic. So I just wanted to talk through some of, what this process has been like to develop software. I mean, my qualifications to develop software are, we've been doing this for 6 years, which doesn't make me qualified to develop software, but it does make us qualified to scratch our own itch, and that's what we're doing. And so we hired these capable developers. I think I talked about it before. My brother has been in this industry. He works for a company that makes something kind of similar, but for a different industry. And so he's been kind of advising our project, which has been really helpful, because a lot of things that we've never encountered, he's encountered before. And one of the challenges has been just the management of it. Like, how do you, I know what I want it to be. In my mind, I can see myself using vision and how it's going to work, but I'm not a developer. I've never managed software development before, other than our own proprietary software with CivilFX and the stuff we've done for client work. So, that balance, like, how do I communicate what the vision that's in my head so that these people can make this software, has been a challenge. I did UI mockups. I've done several versions. I've designed the UI. I've put together the icons. But then one thing that I learned is, like, this isn't a hands-off thing. And I have, other projects. We have our client projects. We have this distracted driving simulator. I have the managing of the company. which involves things like contracts and payroll and invoicing and employee issues, anything like that. Like I've got to do all that stuff. And so starting out, I wasn't involved enough. And so I think getting involved is going to be key, me being involved on an ongoing basis. I don't think I gave myself enough credit for pushing this project forward, because even though I'm not a developer, and even though I'm not actually making the code, I do know what I want this to be. And so there is a disconnect, because I know things how they should be, and I see them in my head, and I don't know how to communicate them in a way that developers can do that. But they're really smart, and they're able to interpret what I'm saying, and they're able to be patient, and they're able to see the examples of other software that does similar things. And so that's been the difference. So what we've done is we've moved to daily meetings, daily product meetings. And right now it's the coronavirus COVID pandemic shutdown. And so we do those remotely. We use Slack. And everyone just gives an update on what they've been working on. And that includes me, because a lot of times I'm involved in assets, I'm involved in planning, in the roadmap, and we have a Trello board where all these tasks are outlined. We have a hierarchy that's like an outline in Google Docs that shows how this should all work. And so every day we go through all this stuff. And then once a week, now we're going to start making a build where I'm able to try it and play with it and give feedback and say, okay, why isn't this in there? Why isn't that in there? And there have been a lot of things that you don't think about till you're there. Like I outlined the whole thing when we started this 6 months ago. But there are things like, thumbnails. How do you generate thumbnails of assets? And then not just generate thumbnails of assets, but generate thumbnails of mesh imports. Someone imports a section of roadway that they modeled in CAD. How do you make sure that gets a good thumbnail? How do you make thumbnails of projects that have been saved? How do you make those thumbnails look good? How do you do a menu? How do you make the design aesthetic look consistent from the splash screen to the menu to the user interface, so that it's a pleasure to use the software? When this is all said and done, well, we're not a big corporation, and we don't claim to be, the next Autodesk, definitely, and this isn't going to be AutoCAD developed, with millions of dollars over, decades. I want this to feel like it was made with love, like intentionality, like every little thing in there was made by someone who cared about the user that was going to use it. And that's my goal as I push forward through the software, is to make it feel like it was made with love. So there you go. CivilFX vision, made with love. Also the logo, you can see a little bit of it behind me. You can go to civilfx.com/vision2020 to go to the website, and you can see the logo. I love branding. I love marketing. I'm going to make some really cool product renders that are like the software box that you see. Working on those already. The priorities, UI and boxes. I say that to my developers, and they're just like, maybe we should work on making sure this saves right and copy and paste and things like that. I'm like, no, UI, product, marketing, the things that I can see. So anyways, you can see the balance that we've had to play. But to that point of balancing development and branding and marketing, if we make this cool product and we spend all of our time on making it function correctly, and we don't worry about how it looks or building up an audience or a market, then we're going to launch the thing and no one's going to buy it and no one's going to use it. And then our money's going to run out. And then, we're not going to be able to continue to develop the software. So it's interesting to find that balance. And I'm glad that I'm excited about branding and UI. And that's something that's been interesting for me over the past couple months. Probably in January, I really started getting into design. It was actually when I started doing the Vision logo. I was using SketchUp and GIMP. That was my workflow for logo design. Probably the first person in the history of logo design to use that workflow. And so I kind of figured out what I wanted it to be, but I needed to vectorize it. I at least know that that's important. And so I know I have an Adobe suite, and I never use it. I use Premiere sometimes. And I open Photoshop when I need to. But Illustrator, I love vector design. I love vector illustrations. And so I started getting in there. I was like, okay, I need to learn this enough to vectorize my Civil FX logo. Let me just show it, just so you can see it. All right. So again, go to there you go, Vision 20, civilfx.com/vision 2020. You can actually also go to civilfx.vision, and it should take you there. So anyways, started getting into Illustrator, making this logo. I was like, man, that was kind of cool. And then we're doing this simulator for active distracted driving, the mega grant, and I wanted to do some branding for that. Again, I have these artists, and they are skilled in this stuff, and they know how to use this software. They've taken classes on design that I haven't taken. For those that don't know, my background is in civil engineering, and even that is suspect. My qualifications is that I can run Civil FX. That's about it. If I lose my job and I have to start over, and they're like, "What can you do?" I'm like, I ran this visualization firm for 6 or 7 years. But anyway, so I have these designers, they can do it, but I wanted to do it myself because there's that disconnect. And this is something, maybe it's a recurring theme in this podcast episode. It's like, I know what these things need to be in my head. And that disconnect the distance between in my head to the person that's doing it, stuff is lost. And that's hard for me. It's like, how do I clarify what I'm thinking so that they can be better at getting that into the way that I want it to be? And so what I learned through this process, through the Vision logo, through the simulator for active distracted driving branding, which again, saddvr.com, you can see the branding that I did in Illustrator. And I'm like, man, if I can do this myself, then there's no disconnect. What I think in my head and what I'm doing with my hand in the Illustrator is perfect. And when it's something's not exactly right, I'll keep revising it until it is right. And so that's what I've been learning, is that not only me learning design principles and software is more helpful, but I fell in love with it. Like, I really love this process of design and vector illustration, and so I've used it a lot. And I'm even trying to practice and play with it and become kind of like an artist. And it's crazy because we do cool artistic things with Civil FX, but like real artist stuff, I've never considered myself that, and I wouldn't consider myself that. But I've been trying to just do art, and it's been amazing. Like, it's fulfilling. I've always been a creative person. I play the piano. I don't do anything well, but I do some of these things. And so being able to do that better using a tool like Illustrator has been really fun. And someday I need to learn Photoshop as well. And that'd be really cool because Photoshop's really powerful and valuable as well. I don't like it as much as the vector stuff, but I know that it's important. But being able to be a designer and do these things myself, I think not only is it going to free up my artists and my developers to do things that they're best at doing, they're better at coding, they're better at 3D modeling, they're better at using game engines and all these things, but it's going to be a more clear representation of what's in my mind. And maybe what's in my mind isn't the best thing. Like, granted, like who says that my mind's any better? But my mind's the one that's paying the bills on this thing. And at the end of the day, if this thing doesn't work, it's on me. Like, this is me. It's my responsibility. So by designing it myself, I'm able to take more responsibility of that. And it extended to the UI that I've been designing for Vision and the logo or the icons. And to be honest, I didn't design every single icon from scratch. I pulled from a variety of icon packs and bought them and traced some of them, made some of them my own from scratch, and trying to make it a consistent design aesthetic throughout the entire software. But all of this is tying together, that if I learn these tools myself, then I'm going to be better prepared to get what's in my head out more clearly so that the people around me can build it. And they want that. They want direction. Like, that's what I'm finding is, like, if you're a developer or if you're a 3D artist and you're supposed to be doing something, you want to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes you don't. If I say model a hamburger for this distracted driving, we have an artist that just did that. He did an awesome job. In that case, I didn't even tell him to. Like, he just said, I know we're going to need a hamburger. I couldn't find something that was low poly for this Oculus Quest that we're developing for, and I did it. It was amazing. But for the most part, these people need direction. And if I'm not capable to give them direction, then it's going to be frustrating for all of us. It's going to be frustrating for them because they're not going to know if they're doing a good job. It's going to be frustrating for me because it's not going to be done the way that I want it to be. So by me learning the tools better and me investing the time and not just sitting back and saying, okay, there, I made an outline. There's the hierarchy, there's the menu structure, go to town, and I'm going to come back in 6 months and use the software and we're going to sell it. That's not how this is going to work, and that's what I'm learning. And luckily, I'm surrounded by wonderful people that are super patient with me. They work with me. They understand that I have not done this before, and that maybe it will be amazing, and maybe I am qualified enough to do this because I've been doing this. I've been passionate about this specific thing for 10 years. Like every year, I've been working on 3D visualization. Every year, I've been thinking about how can we do this better. But they've been patient with me, and I don't think there's a new problem. I don't think that the one managing and setting the vision and all this stuff, communicating to developers, I don't think that disconnect is a new problem because, it always has been. And I'm unrealistic, I'm like, okay, let's launch this by the end of the year. And them knowing something about something in development that I don't, they say, okay, that's not possible. And I say, of course it is, like we're going to launch it by the end of the year. So somewhere in the middle is what actually happens and what the truth is. We need both of those sides. We need the creative visionary, which I think is me, but we need the practitioners. We need the actual artists and the ones doing the work to get this stuff done. I could not do it without them, obviously. Obviously. So that's been super fun and interesting to figure out that process. And we use this Trello board, and I'm being more involved. When I first started out, I just said, okay, here's the Trello board, here's the task, go to town. And I wasn't involved daily. And so I learned that lesson. So hopefully this is valuable to you. If you're managing a project, either side, if you're the one managing it, or if you're the one doing the work, hopefully you can learn something about, maybe the manager needs to be more involved, not just in the daily work of the project, but actually in knowing the software and using the design software. And maybe the one doing the work, the practitioner, the builder, the creator, can be patient with someone like me, I guess. I don't know what advice I have. They've been wonderful. So either way, there have been lessons learned along this process. And hopefully it will, by iterating and learning and me getting more involved and us working together, we can get to that goal. We can follow that roadmap and get to CivilFX Vision being launched by late 2020, Developer Edition. A lot of people have been asking about being beta testers. You can still reach out, info@civilfx.com, and let me know. Just to warn you, I've had a lot of people, like 30 to 40 people, more than 30, reach out and request to be on that list. And when it's all said and done, our first beta group is going to be smaller. So there's going to be some sort of process of making sure that you're qualified to be in that group, because we can't take everyone starting out. We just don't have, we have 4 developers and they're busy doing other things sometimes too, let alone developing vision. So it's going to be challenging there. But if you are still interested, make sure to email me, info@civilfx.com. And I'll definitely make sure to go to civilfx.com/vision2020 to sign up for updates, because that's where I'm going to be telling more about it. I just sent an email out with information about development, like an update, kind of like what I'm doing now, but much less information. So sign up for that mailing list. Hopefully vision will be something that will be valuable to you. If there's something that you hear me talking about with it and you're like, oh, I wish I could do this one thing and then it would be valuable for me and my team, let me know that, because even though it might not be possible in our launch edition, we could eventually get there. I want this to be the preeminent software for civil engineers for visualization. There are tools available, but this is going to be different. This is going to be non-proprietary. This is going to be for every engineer. no matter what software you use, we want to make it so that this works for you, not just because you're to fill in the major CAD software publisher name. So, man, this has been a lot of rambling, but I guess the takeaway is vision is being developed. It's progressing well. We are working on it every single day, 500 plus hours a month. I don't know if that means anything to you, but that's a lot to us. And when you're working with your team and there is someone that's the visionary and managing the project, and there's someone that's actually doing the work, working closely together and having empathy towards one another will probably be more helpful. And again, as I say this, like, my team has not been the problem. It's been me. Like, I was not involved enough. And then I got involved and I was like, oh, wow, like, this is developing better because I'm more involved. So those are the lessons. And the other takeaway is that Beyond CAD is back again for like the 6th time. And it's a YouTube version too. Hope that you have subscribed to the YouTube channel, and hope that you've subscribed to our new podcast, We Make Civil Engineering Look Good. And there's just a lot of content. I'm doing a lot of content, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of LinkedIn posts. If you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, it's like quarantine time where I'm just like generating content. So if that stuff's helpful for you, if it's interesting to you, make sure that you follow what I'm doing, connect with me, message me on LinkedIn. There's always people messaging me on LinkedIn. Although I will say, if you are not from the United States and if you reach out to me about offering your 3D modeling services, we don't need them. Sorry. Like, that's like every day. Someone emails me and they're like, we need your, or we want to offer our 3D modeling services. I'm like, okay, I got it. But we have 3D artists, and we're trying to keep stuff in-house for now. So if you're one of those, don't message me on LinkedIn. But if you're interested about Civil FX and what we're doing and vision, hit me up because I need your feedback. We're going to try and build something that's valuable ultimately. If it's not valuable, then what the heck are we making? So anyways, stay safe out there in this crazy world that we're living in. And I will be back soon. I don't know when. Maybe we can get this to once a week again, but at least we'll definitely stay more regular. So that's all I have today. And with that, I will see you next episode.